Kev. So Lincoln.
What they saying?
Oh, my brother, I got you. Bro. I got you, man. I got you here.
It's good to see you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I got you, man. Let's get straight to it, man. This is BonezReality podcast, man. This is Second Chances. I got Kevin Evans on Pennsylvania second degree murder, ruling, mental health, faith, and hope. And it's hosted by yours truly, Bones. Like Slam. Listen, man. Peace and welcome back to BonezReality podcast, where we had the conversations most people avoid, but everybody needs. Today is special. Today is special. Not only because we're discussing one of the biggest criminal justice developments in Pennsylvania in decades, but because today's guest, special. Like, somebody I know personally, man. Like, I'm looking at my brother, man, and I remember sitting in that same area, man. And now my brother is soon to be sitting in this same area on this couch. And inshallah, and welcoming. But I'm gonna get into it, man. Like, this is our connection. It wasn't random. Kev spent years incarcerated with my brother Doobie. Through these family ties, we connected. What started as introduction quickly turned into a real brotherhood. Over time, while I was incarcerated, I became Kev's barber through the barber manager program I was involved in. So today's conversation isn't from a news article, isn't from reading paperwork. This is coming from years of conversations, observation, shared experience, and seeing growth firsthand. I watched this brother encourage people, mentor people. When I mean mentor, I watched him mentor people, and I'm talking about myself. And pour wisdom into people during some of the darkest moments of their lives, especially mine at times. Today, we're discussing Pennsylvania's second degree murder ruling, mental health behind the wall, faith, redemption, and what hope looks like after spending decades incarcerated. This is BonezReality. Let's go, man. How we met, Kev? Before we jump into the law, everything happening in Pennsylvania, I want people to understand how we met.
Well, it was kind of random. From talking when you became my barber, just talking to you in general, and you had brought up the fact that I had mentioned my brother Doobie, you know what I mean, good brother, I've known him for decades, and you was like, you Doobie brother. And I'm like, you're real brother. He was like, no, he's my biological brother. And I leaned back in the chair, and I looked at you, and I said, you do look like it, you just slim. So, from that point on, you cutting my hair and, talking, how the barbershop on the inside is just like the barbershop on the outside. Real issues is talked about inside and out, family, hope, inspiration. And, we built that relationship. You said, do me messages for me. Do me said, me messages for you. You know what I mean? Said you picture books, sent me picture books. So, we developed a real brotherhood, which is, I value to this day.
All right, listen, Kev, I cherish that brotherhood as well because coming through there, I came through young. So when I came through, things was like, fresh to me. So I wasn't, numb, but I wasn't blind or naive either. So I knew what was going on. So I knew my environment. But like I said, this ain't about me. Our connection started through family, just, ties because you spent years with Doobie. So, I also became your barber through the program, but, the importance of the relationships and the bonds that get built inside, that's what made us click. That's what made it click like this way. Like, so.
Yeah, it's like, when I talk to the younger brothers, like yourself, and the other brothers who taught me, to coin a phrase that pay it forward. You know what I mean? We like to see, even though we got that sentence that's absolute, you know what I mean? It says death by incarceration, We never lose hope, you know what I mean? And we never lose hope for another brother who might have another opportunity to get out, because that was a revolving door. And it was crazy because Doobie came back a couple times, and we don't blame brothers for coming back because sometimes, not all the times, because we faced with choices. The system sets us up to fail, People always say guys in jail, get this mentality that is a boogeyman or white folk set us up. No, it's these things. These penitentiaries are modern day plantations. So to counterbalance that, we mentor little brothers like yourself. And like you're doing now, you're doing great. You managing music, you got the podcast, you're doing great things. And we live vicariously through y'all. You know what I mean? The success of my words to you and other brothers who have probably inspired you, brings us great joy and reward on the day that the law will judge us all. You know what I'm coming from? So we as Muslims, we got to aspire to be better people no matter where we at. We got to make a difference no matter where we at. So meeting you and other young brothers in this environment gives us hope. It strengthens our imam when we study, we read Allah's promise, and he say he's going to reward us. That's a small part of our reward, that you will home and be successful,
Thank you. So, let me ask, man, who is Kevin Evans today? Like, share with me, but share with them, like the people, like, who is Kevin Evans today?
Well, the Kevin Evans today is wiser than the Kevin Evans yesterday, because I was always Kevin Evans. It's just that the mistakes I made in the past, I always aspire to correct them. Again, my faith in the law, and studying, allows me to forgive myself, ask Allah for forgiveness, and then ask my family for forgiveness, and then ask my community for forgiveness. I've grown to be the man I am by, again, mentoring brothers like you, because not only do y'all learn from us, we learn from y'all. Also, the old heads that embraced me when I first came through, said, don't run around here acting like no knucklehead. The control of the earth is not only through human affairs. Allah allows things to happen. So you may have a chance in the near or distant future, and you don't want to blow that opportunity when the Lord blesses you with it. So I've got right into the books. I got my GED. I got business management expertise. I've become a mentor. I've started programs, the FACT program, a Real Street Talk. I've been a secretary, NAACP, secretary of the Lifers Organization. And it goes on and on and on. But I aspired to do that once I took Shahada and accepted the law in my life. It was, I had trials and tribulations. It hasn't always been easy. This is one of the most unnatural environments, sometimes violent, but through the grace and mercy of Allah, I have been able to do 35 years without any misconducts. Navigate through with the support and help from young brothers like you and always. My family especially, my brother my cousin that hooks up these video visits. They have always been a support system in my life. My sister, my female cousins, my male cousins, brothers like you, Bones. Like I got young boys that hook me, they pop on this video visit like crazy, saying you're gonna get a chance. Make dua together, make dua for me. So this is who I've grown to be, and I pray to Allah that this second degree decision allows me an opportunity to get back out on the street.
So it's like you answered one question with it that was already there. Like how many years you've been incarcerated? So you answered that, but you can say that number again. Like this ain't what time it is. You can tell them what number. How many years you been in there?
35 years.
All right, Kev. What would people misunderstand about you if they only knew your conviction?
That one moment in time defines me. When I do get an opportunity to talk to the powers that be in charge, I always say I stand on my record. Mm-hmm. Even prior to being incarcerated, I wasn't wild young boy. I wasn't, a violent young boy. I just loved the money and the fame and the addiction to the criminal lifestyle. And after I got incarcerated, that's who I was. I wasn't the most violent. I wasn't, that wasn't my thing. So people would misunderstand me by because I was in the criminal lifestyle, hustling, doing what I was doing, it automatically equates to violence. Okay. Or I didn't have no moral compass, or moral upbringing. No, I always stood on principle, even now, when Satan whisper, the lives I've destroyed, selling drugs, my peers, I started at a young age, 14, 15, 16, so their parents was addicted to drugs. Mm. So me selling drugs to them caused them to not have Christmases, caused them not to have food on their table. You know what I mean? And when Satan whispers, he says, this is who you are. This is who you'll always be. And I defeat that with prayer. Making sure I'm making my prayers, making sure I'm studying. You know what I mean? Making sure I'm consulting my brothers. So the misconception is, he is this cat. He's still that individual who he was 35 years ago. And I just stand on my record that no, I'm not. My actions demonstrate that I'm not.
All right, so let me wrap two into one. Like, what has prison taught you, and how have you changed over the years?
Prison pretty much. I've been in jail more than I've been on the street. So prison taught me everything, And it's always the religion and the quality individuals I align myself with. These old heads, Brother Shakur, Sharif, the Hicks, the O's, they always old head Dutch that passed away. May Allah have mercy on his soul and grant him paradise. I mean. I remember my first week at Greater Ford, he gripped me up in the yard and said, not, you want to play basketball, not, you want to indulge in foolishness. He said, you're in the law library. You know what I mean? After he talked to me about how to get in the law library, introduced me to some other old heads, introduced me to some younger brothers, then he started talking about, recreational activities. Okay, let's get involved in organizations. We got an outside meeting coming up with NAACP on the street, or the ACLU, or this organization or that organization, and embrace me that way. You know what I mean? Then they saw that I could play a little basketball, and then they saw that I could play a little football, and that was secondary. The first was make sure you're aspiring to get out of jail. We only in jail to get out. You know what I mean? Whether you did what you did or you didn't do it, we got to get out of the penitentiary. And these are the brothers who taught me everything I know, and these are the brothers who made me the man I am today. I always look at y'all as my biological brother. My biological brother has been here for me for 35 years. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And y'all close to me like my biological brothers when you develop the real, because this ain't all peaches and cream and roses, because you got your crackpots and everything in all communities, inside of here and out there. But the ones that had genuine love, and we developed genuine love, that's who raised me. That's who made me the man I am today. You know what I mean? Along with my family, my sisters, my nieces, they bring their boyfriends, they up here to make sure, you know what I mean? And so it's been a journey, and I appreciate all y'all for everything they've done for me for my 35 years. That's who made me the man I am today.
I love how you answer things, man, because it's always a detail and it's always a message in it, right? But when people hear your name today, what do you want them to know first about you?
That I deserve another chance, a second chance.
All right. Let's get. I'm gonna just make that was short, because that's what you deserve. Because that's where I'm getting right into. Second degree murder. How do we get here? Like, for decades in Pennsylvania, a second degree murder conviction automatically meant a life sentence without parole. So I'm gonna ask you, Kev. Excuse me. Explain me second degree in your own words.
Well, when I talk about second-degree murder, I always flash back to my trial and how unjust and unfair it was, you know what I mean, from the police officers. I appealed my conviction all the way to the United States Supreme Court on my own because lawyers seem not to understand the legal misconduct that was going on in my case. So I appealed all the way to the United States Supreme Court, and they denied me. So here it is, literally 34 and some change years later. The detectives in my case just got found guilty of perjury and false swearing, which is a legal claim that I can get back in on court on right now. But for the 35 years plus, second degree has been an unconstitutional sentence. But no court, state or federal, will correct it. There's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo that goes with that. I'm talking about literally legal mumbo jumbo. When you would get an attorney from back then till now, and you say, these sentences I've studied in the law library, and these sentences is unconstitutional. Their generic response is always, oh, life means life in Pennsylvania. Let's worry about other issues. You know what I mean? And that was so frustrating when you understand what is being done to you. So they saying that for 50 years, this sentence has been unconstitutional. And here we are again, 35 for me, 50 for other individuals. That this sentence is unconstitutional based on a variety of things. You know what I mean? The Pennsylvania, they call it the Keystone State because it was one of the territories that became a state after colonization. And our Constitution is different than any other state's Constitution because it prohibits unnecessary punishment. And whether it's first degree, whether it's second degree, whether it's any sentence, unnecessary punishment is prohibited, vehemently prohibited, by the Pennsylvania Constitution, yet the game continues to be played by the powers that be. Just yesterday, they sent us legal mail preparing us for the process of being sentenced out of here or paroled out of here. But the struggle continues because these unjust laws still persist. The game, Democrats say yes, give them a second chance. Republicans say no. Here we are, we still got 35 days and 120 day delay, and we still don't have a bill. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court is the head law interpreter of the state, and the Republicans still refuse to honor. Now, if it was a Republican court that said something, they'd be crying about Democrats not listening, or they probably will listen. But this is the game we trapped in. Like a hamster on a hamster wheel. Round and round and round we go. No matter how long they know they are, they still pushing back on this unconstitutional sentence.
When you get into talking, I zone out. I think about where I was. I think about the place I was. And people know that place I was with my brothers. Like, I'm never going to forget where I came from because we ain't have a voice. Well, at least they thought we didn't have a voice. You know what I mean? We had leagues. We had support systems. But it took for some of us to get out here to put some of these things in order. So that's what I'm here for. That's my vessel. Because I want to speak to the people and I want to tap in mentally. And when I tap in mentally, I'm coming from where I was alone in them places. Sitting there with you, cutting hair, walking the track, going back and forth to the hole, transferring institutions. Like that,
eating chi-chis.
eating chi-chis, yes. Yes. And not the seasoning packs. But
exactly, without the season pack.
How did Pennsylvania get to a place where every person convicted of second-degree murder automatically receives a life sentence? Like, how did we get here?
It's real unique, right? These made up organizations from back in the day. You know what I mean? These black mafias, junior black mafias, violence, or Italian mafias. So, and the violence that precipitated only from social injustices, right? What leads to crime, poverty, and that whole situation. So, as desperate human beings, without titles, without mafias or black mafias or OK Corrals or whatever the government name them, without that, human beings are going to try to survive. So whatever violence spun out of that, they respond. They responsive. They reactive and not proactive. To understand why are people lashing out. If you deprive of the people or human beings, period, of resources, their natural instinct is to survive. So whatever violence spun out of it, instead of correcting the social ill that sometimes Democrats talk about, Republicans talk about, or this new party coming out, Working Family Party talk about, the distribution of resource fairly and justly, as we learn as Muslims. You know what I mean? You got Muslim communities who, or countries who make sure that the whole of their population, sometimes we stuck in this American mentality. And sometimes you got bad Muslim countries, just like you got bad Christian countries. You got bad Buddhist countries. But you have Muslim countries who distribute wealth to Muslims and non-Muslims justly. So out of that social ill of the 60s and 70s, violence increased. The reaction of the system was an increase in punishment and penalty. But when you got people behind the scenes that say it's no longer about deterrence, rehabilitation, it becomes about money. When people are being employed by these modern day plantations that transition to modern day plantations, involuntary servitude without due process of law. Involuntary servitude is only slavery. So now these modern day plantations is concentration camps, managing poor people so that rich people can get richer and the poorer stay poorer. Some of the first executive orders that Trump did when he got in office was take away from the FCC rulers the lower our phone calls. So big corporations can raise them back up to $1 a minute, $1.60 a minute. This is by design, it's by no mistake. They say the system is broken. No, it's not. It's working exactly the way they want it to work.
Let's go, man. Keep going, man. Keep going, man.
The reaction to the violence and the social justice is a disguise to say we're going to increase these penalties, fill these penitentiaries up from 7 penitentiaries to 32 at one time, 33 penitentiaries, and jobs, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in budget money. Don't you know they just asked for another 100 as line items? When they do the budget, they talk about the state budget right now, right? The top 3 is Health and Human Services, Department of State Education, and prisons. They just asked for another, they closed a prison, 2 or 3 halfway houses, and a boot camp. And they asking, that's supposed to save taxpayer money, but they asking for another $150 million more than they had last year. We trapped in game. It's all game. Everything is theater. Everything is smoke and mirrors. We trapped in game. And that's why what you just said, the bonds we build in here, I don't want the audience to just hear me. I want them to feel me. Feel what I'm saying to you. When you in that rat race, can't pay your bills, it's because of the powers that be asking for another another 10 million, 150 million to keep you and me in a penitentiary, keep you and me, as we say in the streets, on paper, to keep particular people and particular demographics employed. So these reactions to these laws, a Republican Boyle Kaufman, this bull, I ain't even resort to name calling, but this bull, he gets on to say the very minimum of us of second degree supposedly should get relief, right? Who is he? A man who lives in a glass house should never throw stones. Because not only in the dunya, as we say, he's going to be judged for his actions and his behaviors or the mistakes that he might make. Allah won't judge him. Did he judge us justly? How do he know? What about the misconduct in the city of Philadelphia when some of us didn't get a fair break? A fair shake in court? These are the factors that got to go into the second degree thing. The cops I talked about in the beginning of this. They don't care. All they see is in their communities, they got a prison in its economics form. Forget my family, forget my grandbabies, forget. This is what we up against. Anybody in the sound of my voice that got a loved one in the penitentiary, we got to get involved. This second degree is just a tip of the iceberg. It's just a tip of the iceberg. First degree, you should see these old elders in here navigating wheelchairs. Now, I'm going to end with this, Bones, because they'll say the victims, right? The victims deserve respect. We deal with victims. We have a damn responsibility. The victims say, this is their data. This is their organizations that do statistics. 79% in Philadelphia of victims across the state say, I believe my offender should be punished. However, they deserve a second chance. Do the data of the juvenile lifers when they came to court and testified. Victims' families came to testify that somebody lost their life. Said he was a kid, my son was a kid, they grew up together, and he deserved to be punished, but he deserved a second chance. They're not going to publicize that. They're not going to put that out there. The Bill Kaufman going, like he said, they take the extreme cases and put it out. That's what he doing. They'll take an extreme case and say the likes of him don't deserve to get out. Let his community decide. That's what we say. If the victims come forward and say don't let him out, let the balance of justice weigh. Don't let the victims just be the final say, but let the balance of justice weigh and let the community make a decision. They don't even want that. He want to be the sole answer to 1,000 people having a second chance. Him and his Republican colleagues, another one is Lisa Baker, their emails can be easily found, and you can send them emails and say they've been unfair and unjust. But these two people think they should be the end-all be-all over 1,000 people's second chances.
Okay, we're gonna like I tell you, when I get with you, man, I get deep. It's like sitting in a barbershop and not getting out the chair. And how long you gonna sit in that chair to get a cut that ain't too much hair falling off?
You know what we used to do every week.
But Kev, man, this was touchy, but it's serious, and I want people to understand this because I'm live on Instagram. We filming, like I'm just all over the place with it. Like I tell you, I'm a one-man bandstand, and I love it. I love it. Like I enjoy what I'm doing. Like, but Kev, what was it like knowing your sentence meant you would likely die in prison?
Again, as Muslims, I always got to go to when I took Shahada. It was hard in the beginning, you know. Just because I don't have no misconduct don't mean in the beginning I wasn't making some of the same mistakes. The old head pulled me up and did all of that. But when I took Shahada, I say that's the qadar of Allah. You know, we say that's the qadar of Allah. You know what I mean? Allah wrote the book of life, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? We can aspire to be better Muslims right where we are. So my mental, like this deals with mental health, hope, and faith. You know what I mean? The mental health part of it is difficult. By no means is it just easy. Allah say that you're going to be tested. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say you're not going to say you got iman and faith and not be tested. So this might be just my test. You know what I mean? So this is what it meant to me. You know, losing my mother, lost my father. You know what I mean? And the struggles you got to go through. Again, leaning on your brothers. You know, we got Hadith, we got Surahs, we got Al-Bukhari to help us along with this. And you got to be learned, you got to be studied, you got to seek assistance from your brother and refuge with Allah. You know, so these are the things that help me get through. You know, brothers, when you lose your mother and you go in your cell and you don't want to be bothered with nobody and they dropping slips in your door with surahs to read, you know, and hadiths to read, sections out of Al-Bukhari, Al-Muslim. You know what I mean? So these are the things that comfort your family coming to see you. You know, me and my sister and my brother cried when my mother passed away. You know, a childhood friend that I dealt with came up with my sister the day before my mother passed away. You know, so that hopelessness is overcome when you understand and believe in Allah. It's overcame by Iman, your faith. You know, when you really, you know, get down to it. And I know everybody not Muslim, but I know people seek refuge in what they believe in, right or wrong, you know. But when you're really serious about that, that's when, you know, that's very, very comforting.
Kev, let me get into this, man. We live and you got an audience, man, but it's somebody that was behind the walls, which you would, and he got a good movement out here, man. He has a thing where he's reminding people, where count time. He's reminding people that, is this what you want to hear for the rest of your life? And he sends his salams. Cam is on live. Cam sends his salams. And welcome home to Cam. Like, you know, let's get in order. But let me read this, man, because this is BonezReality podcast. And I'm going to give it to you for the, you know, the reality of it. With second-degree murder in Pennsylvania, what second-degree murder is? Second-degree murder is commonly known as a felony murder. A person could be convicted when someone dies during the commission of a certain felonies, even if they were not the person who physically caused the death. Now let's get to what changed. In 2026, Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled that the mandatory life without parole sentence for second-degree murder are unconstitutional. The court found that automatically giving every person the same sentence without considering individual circumstances creates constitutional concerns. Approximately, who could be impacted? Over 1,000 people serving mandatory life sentences. 1,000 people serving mandatory life sentences for second-degree murder convictions in Pennsylvania could potentially be affected by future legislation or court actions. Kev, the day everything changed, where were you when you heard about the ruling?
Say it again, Bones.
Where were you when you heard about that ruling?
Where was I? Oh, it's a funny story because, like, again, humbly and respectfully as a leader in this environment, there's a lot of misinformation. So as I'm walking, coming back from work, one of my brothers, George Williams, BS, 9099. He said, he going to the visit, he said, Kev, I think we need to check on that. I knew what he was talking about because they said the ruling just came down because we was waiting for maybe 18, 19, maybe 20 months. So I'm like, I got the face like, yeah, okay. One of them joints, the misinformation. But deep down in the back of my mind, I said, let me go check. So I hit the kiosk. And on the way there, they was like, a couple other people was like, yo, I think it came down. So when I hit the kiosk and read it, you know what I mean, the emotion of it, you know, was like, you know, the weight of the world off your shoulders. You know what I mean? We still got a little ways to go. But at the end of the day, the court ruled what it ruled. And that's what they put on the kiosk, that it was unconstitutional. And they didn't expressly say it, but they impliedly said that it's retroactive. It applies to all 1,000, not those going forward. And it's like the weight of the world lifted off your shoulders, man. The promise, Allah's promise, you know what I mean, is brought to fruition, me and my celly always talk about a hadith that speaks to the non-Muslim. Say Allah knows all. You know what I mean? He controls the affairs of his Muslims and non-Muslims.
Thank you.
And he grants the prayers of non-Muslims. You know what I mean? A non-Muslim who's fed up and at wit's end and don't even know how to pray, don't know how to make a wudu, don't know how to make ghusl, falls to his knees and prays to Allah. He's not a Muslim, and Allah grants his prayers. So the dutiful Muslim, believe it, he grants your prayers.
Kev, let me get these, man.
He grants your prayers.
I got 3 questions. I'm wrapping into one. Give me the reaction inside Phoenix. Give me the conversations that was happening immediately, and the hope return for some people.
It's like a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? State Senator Sharif Street has the bill in trying to get the legislation passed, and I was trying to tell him the hopelessness that flows through this institution because the support is degressing, not progressing. From all the way up to this again, I said I ain't gonna name call, this crazy secretary is rolling us back. They took our visits. They took out the child halls for us to move back and forth, to keep us boxed on these blocks to get fed. So the hopelessness in this prison is increasing. You know what I mean? But this decision, just like the juveniles, the hope that came through the entire DOC, it's unexplainable. You know what I mean? You got your naysayers, it ain't retroactive, it ain't this, it ain't that, man. Forget all that. Allah has set down a blessing. Again, to the point I just made, to the believers and non-Muslims. Because I don't want us to call them a non-believer, but the non-Muslims.
Kev,
he just handed down a blessing.
Kev, did fear or uncertainty also come with it?
Oh, absolutely. The apprehension of going home and having to take care of yourself, man. My cousin that sets up the emails, he just sent me a 3-part email explaining, don't jump out the jet. You know what I mean? Don't try to start a $100 million business 2 days out of the penitentiary. You know, those fears are real. You know what I mean? Take it slow. Walk slowly. You know what I mean? Again, always make your prayers because the law is in control of all. And, the anxiety from it is absolutely real.
Kev, you covered faith behind the wall, right? So, this is my platform, So we got to talk mental health. BonezReality, right? How do men survive mentally after decades believing they will never come home?
Again, support from brothers. Like, I've seen brothers, go crazy right before your eyes, bro. Go crazy. And some come back. Some don't. You know what I mean? They get boxed in these holes for 10, 15, 20 years. There's a movement to abolish the special housing units. But, God, it's hard, bro. It's hard. That's why, again, you got to thank Allah, man, for your family, to be able to pick up the phone to talk to somebody, to be able to walk 10 steps to talk to your brother, like Bones. When you cut my hair and you lean forward and whisper in my ear, it's gonna be all right. Trust in Allah. You understand where I'm coming from? These are things that help with your mental health. Especially again, that artificial intelligence. You got fake stuff going on all over the world. That's why artificial intelligence is, you got an authentic brother. The comfort, that's medicine. That's medicine to you. When you don't want to go to pill line and medicate yourself, your brother's comforting word is medicine. Reading the Quran is medicine.
Kev, let me get to this, man, because how important is community? Because you said it, the best medicine for your mental health is Allah. So how important is community? But break both of them down to me.
Community, because we're running up on the end.
Yeah, I know. That's
it's cool. But the community is beautiful because, like I said, I've reached out to organizations. Organizations come out. We're doing some anti-violence stuff. A little brother just got killed out in Norristown. Shout out to the Norristown NAACP. They reaching out. Brother Scooter, Pooch. Councilman William McCoy. You know what I mean? We're doing some real good things out there. We're doing some great things. Kenyatta Johnson, the president of City Council, he comes up here. State Representative Dawkins, he put the first lifer bill in over 10 years ago. You know, reaching out to the community and community members coming in here, supporting us. SCL4, Real Street Talk. You know what I mean? Your brother Shakur doing great work out there. Hick, Kevin Butler for Great Panthers. You know, Oya Daoud, them reaching back in here, me being able to call them, me saying, Sam Staten, Local 332 just opened up a training center.
Connect Network, Connect Network, contacting. Contacting. Contacting.
You gotta get involved. Connect Network or Real Criminal Justice and Reform, the number 1 @gmail.com, or you can get at me through connectnetwork.com, you know, Kevin Evans, BZ3788. And we got to build, man. We got to reach out to these communities. We got to hold these elected officials' feet to the fire from here to Erie, PA, because it's just not a Philly thing. Dauphin County, you know what I mean? They got about 100 second degree. Allegheny County, 100 and some change. Philadelphia got the most. In Lehigh County, the brothers from Allentown, our Brown
it's
brothers.
BonezReality.
You know what I mean? Lancaster, Pottstown, them NAACPs. Miss Taylor, she's the state conference.
This is BonezReality podcast, and that was Kevin Evans live on Second Degree. BonezReality podcast episode, Second Chances. Kevin Evans on Pennsylvania second degree murder ruling, mental health, faith, and hope. Hosted by yours truly, BonezReality. I'm out.